Hello, I'm Fast Lawyer. Today we are going to review Hyperbolica VR, a game released on the Steam Store March 14th, 2022. Yes, Pi Day, that was intentional, by developer Code Parade. It officially supports the HTC Vive and the Valve Index. It normally retails for $17. I bought it at that price, and I tested this game out on the Meta Quest 2 using link cable. Beware though, disclaimer, motion controllers are not currently supported on the Meta Quest 2. However, it works perfectly fine with a gamepad. The developer has mentioned that they will bring motion controller support in a future patch. However, I have no idea how good the motion controller support is going to be. A lot of the interactions here are point and click, and I'm not sure that's going to change just because touch controllers will be supported in the future. So I'm not really sure motion controller support is all that big of a deal unless you just don't own a gamepad. And I'm going to put another disclaimer here, another warning. This game is definitely not for anyone who does not enjoy intense VR experiences. If you experience motion sickness in VR, you are likely to experience that in this game. Now, I am a VR veteran and I've never experienced VR nausea or motion sickness. So I played about 4 hours continuously in this game and it did not affect me personally at all, but I've read reviews from other VR users where this game really affected them, so beware. Okay, now that we have all that out of the way, let's get into the review. Hyperbolica VR is a non-Euclidean adventure game with some light puzzles, a lot of whimsical text box reading, but honestly this is more of an experience than an actual game itself. There is a game here, but the gameplay elements here are secondary to the experience. The gameplay here is rather simple. The puzzles here are not complicated, and in fact the most difficult thing about this game is just getting from point A to point B, simply because of the geometry involved here. Your mind will be absolutely blown away by this experience, and you do not need to be a math nerd to enjoy this experience. And despite the simple gameplay, which if I'm being honest I was a little disappointed by, I was still astonished. I was in complete awe while I was exploring this world. So far, Hyperbolica VR is my VR game of the year for 2022. It is absolutely a mind-bending experience. I took calculus, I took trigonometry, I took geometry, but I don't think I've ever appreciated math more than when I was playing this game. And I highly recommend you experience this in VR. And I almost feel sorry for all the people who've played this game in non-VR. This game was absolutely meant for VR, and I have no idea how you could experience this outside of VR. You just don't get the same effect. You don't get the same sense of scale outside of VR. You don't get the same sense of the 3D space, and you just don't get that immersion. I played a little bit of this in Pancake, and it's just not the same experience. What's sad is that only 5% of Steam users currently have played this in VR, so that means the overwhelming majority have only played this outside of VR. And I find that very sad because, like I said, this is an experience, a must experience for VR as long as you can handle it. And currently, like I said, on the Meta Quest 2, as long as you're okay with using a gamepad instead of motion controllers. Hyperbolica VR is running on the Unity engine. On my RTX 3080, I was getting a steady 90 frames per second. I did not experience any issues or bugs during my playtime. You do have full locomotion with a gamepad along with snap turning. Many of the interactions are gaze interactions. You just basically look in the direction, push a button, and then you'll get the interaction that you want. For example, there's a snowball fight, and you just basically look where you want to throw, and that's where you'll throw. So obviously this is not a room scale game, and some people might be turned off by that. I personally didn't find many of the puzzle or gameplay elements to be that challenging, but there were a few that definitely made me think for a little bit, and there's some that I have not solved. So definitely there are some really tough ones, like the treasure chest. I've not been able to figure that one out at all. And believe it or not, a lot of the challenge for me was just getting from point A to point B. Even with the map, the non-Euclidean geometry here is not intuitive at all, which makes perfect sense because obviously that's not how we normally perceive the world. And there's definitely room for improvement as far as the VR interactions. The final boss fight is not very good in VR, just simply due to the poor controls. And in this video, you can see the portion where you're cleaning the windows in the office building in VR, and that's gaze-based, and that's implemented rather poorly as well. There's also a lot of text box reading in this experience and a lot of puns, and some of those puns are funny, but some of them are not. And some of the story elements I thought were nice, but some others were rather forgettable. So obviously this game does have several negatives. Like I said, it's got a rather mediocre story. The gameplay is not very exciting, but what really sets this experience apart is how innovative and how unique this experience is. And all apologies to Hyper Rogue, which is another non-Euclidean game that I do recommend, and I'll put a link to Hyper Rogue in this video in case you're interested in another non-Euclidean geometry game that does have VR support. But anyways, the way it's done here is just truly innovative and jaw-dropping, and it's a must experience in VR, and I highly recommend it. So far it is, like I said, my VR game of the year for 2022, and that is despite all the flaws I mentioned, and that's just how good the experience is overall. And if I have to rate it, I would give it an 8 out of 10. Anyways, I'm Fast Lawyer. This has been my review for Hyperbolica VR. If you enjoyed this video review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And as always, have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of the video.